I got a sexy voice, I'm good.
Welcome to the All-Star Supercast. I'm Haz from Valkyrock. This is Jay from Jay Horn Illustration. And this is Joe, who recently left his Gary Newman cover band to become a ventriloquist, saying all the nasty things about us in our own voices.
That's right. Say something nasty in your own voice. I can pretend I said it.
I hate Joe.
What? You flobbercock.
And on that unique swearing note, Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope we're all wearing our brown pants for this one.
I don't think he actually repeated any single convoluted swear word in that whole thing.
The competition for today is to come up with the most unique insult.
Yeah.
I've thrown that.
Cock goblin thunder cunt.
That is not unique. That is
Blade
half stolen
3?
from Blade 3. I say half because it was... What was it? You cock-juggling
Thunder cunt.
But
You
for
can't
now,
even plagiarise correctly.
We just gave you the best line from that film. That was actually the best bit of that film.
I love
Triple
Blade
H.
3. I don't go.
Sorry,
I love
Paul
Triple H
Levesque.
as well.
Oh, well, everyone loves Triple H. Especially Triple H.
so
On tonight's episode of All-Star Supercast, I'm going to meet you at the garden, Haz, and I'm going to take you out. You're going to get the pedigree, and you're going to tap 1, 2, 3.
alright, fucking macho man.
Macho Triple H.
When can I expect the rap album?
Oh, have you heard any of that?
Yeah, it's
That's
awful.
amazing. Be a man, Hogan.
So Deadpool, Jay, you can give us some background on it.
So, he was created by my favourite artist, your favourite artist, and everyone's favourite artist, Rob Liefeld, who has never been scrutinised for his work ever, who has always made perfect artwork. And, and that's just the end of it. I mean, I don't think we need to go on too much about Rob Liefeld's artwork because it's just perfect.
Because you just spent the last 3 seconds sucking his dick.
Because it's perfect in every way. Totally going to edit that out, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like the fucking Communist Party of Russia, this guy. But seriously, he's a terrible artist.
Really?
Yeah, he's horrible.
Oh, I thought you were being quite genuine in your...
I mentioned him a few podcasts ago, but I don't know whether one just you and me did.
It might have been. I think it was mentioned in passing.
I'm starting to think Jay can fake sincerity really well, because I actually believed him when he said this guy was really good.
Just like when I say I love you. Anyway.
You only said afterwards though, so it feels sincere.
I'll show you. Actually, I was going to do it on the computer, but it looked like it was straddling Haz, so I didn't.
It's a good job it's not a video podcast.
Yeah, I don't.
Just sit on my face.
Call me daddy.
So this guy illustrated Deadpool, yes?
Yeah.
And is he the sole creator of him, or what?
Him and
It
was
is
it
how-
Fabian Nicenzi?
Yeah, Fabian Nicenza. That's how bad his art can be sometimes. For the record, that's what it would look like if it was...
Boobs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I just showed Joel the famous Captain America illustration that Rob
Basically, we're
Liefeld is
telling
known
you
for doing.
What would happen if Captain America abused steroids solely on his chest?
Yeah, and he is... it's pretty terrible, I'll be honest with you. He can't draw feet either.
To be honest, have you ever met a sexy foot? They all look fucking weird.
Oh, no. I'd fuck it.
You're looking at your own foot. Well, to be honest, I'm pretty relieved at that, to be honest. Just realised. Could have been worse.
Could have been yours.
Yes.
Yeah, keep wishing, sweetheart.
Arch, baby.
He appeared in the issue 98 of the New Mutants in... I was going to say Mutants. New Mutants.
Oh, those classic cow superheroes.
I thought it was just the Geordie comic. New Mutants.
New Mutants, like?
In 1991.
Can he?
Oh, yeah. And he soon got his own solo series. I got into Deadpool comics around about mid-90s, yeah, when he started appearing in a few more graphic novels that I was reading at the time, a few X-Men ones and such.
I got into him with the Deadpool Kill series.
That was a good series.
That series of 3 collections anyway.
Yeah.
Loved them. But when did he actually... Because he wasn't always a parody character, was he?
No, because he was originally a parody of Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Yeah, Helen's Death, Dead, Stroke Pool.
Huh.
That's right.
Slade, Wade, Wilson.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where that came from. What about you, Joe? What do you know about the Deadest Pool?
Incredibly Not a lot. I know you. I know you're so shocked by that fact.
We've actually seen this
Basically, I
movie
mean,
before now.
when X-Men Origins came out, and you had this uproar from a lot of people going, "Oh, how could you sew Deadpool's mouth shut?" Having no idea who the character was, knowing that fine well I loved Ryan Reynolds and whatever he was going to do with this character, he was going to bring it. Even in X-Men Origins, I liked what he did with Wade Wilson. He kind of had that sarcastic thing before he had his gob sewn up, but that was the earliest experience I ever had of Deadpool anyway. So if somebody had told me that's how Deadpool is, he eventually gets his gob sewn up, I would have believed them because I literally knew nothing about him. So from there, it was just how everything spiraled out and how Reynolds wanted to play him. And then, of course, this movie came out, and it's like, wow, this is so much better. So, yeah.
I suppose when
The
you
Merc
don't
with
have,
the mouth, that's what I've heard.
yeah, I suppose when you don't have a reference point like that, then it's not such a bastardization of a character.
No, I mean, so it was almost like they purposely did it just to cause uproar.
In a way, I guess, yeah.
Because everyone knows he was the Merc with the mouth, and, well, what's better to cause uproar in nerds than...
Take one part of that away.
yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton and RoboCop, people don't know what they want until you show them.
Yeah.
Let's make it black. Tactical suit. I like the suit being black in RoboCop. Why are you looking at me
The
like
remake.
that?
Oh, the new one,
remake,
yeah. I never saw it.
No?
No.
I
I was too appalled by the trailer. I was appalled and shocked, and I wrote a letter complaining and explaining my appallment and shock.
Why did you send it to me? I mean, seriously.
Because
You shit in the envelope.
Stunk his house
Well,
out
I
for
thought it was
days.
your shit. I'm assuming.
I'll never tell. At least I sealed it with a kiss. And then I washed my lips straight after because I realised that there was shit in the envelope.
So yeah, I mean that's all I know really about Deadpool.
So the film almost didn't get made. They did test footage, and it just apparently didn't take with the studio.
Yeah.
And
Ryan Reynolds wanted it for
They'd
ages.
shelved it for a while, and they were on the verge of cancelling it. And I think he just literally went, fuck it, and leaked, with quotation marks, the footage online, where everyone went mad for it.
Yeah.
And
I remember seeing it and being like,
I
buzzing.
think every single person who liked comic book films at the time was like, yeah, this is what we want.
Yeah.
Particularly after him being in Origins and that how he was treated.
It was in
For the
development
same-
hell for ages.
Well, for the same actor to come through
Yeah.
and really take this on and take it right back to how it is with the comic
Yeah.
and make it R-rated.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Do you remember when there was a big petition going online for parents who want to get the rating of Deadpool knocked down to a PG-13?
Yeah.
Because they want the kids to go see it.
Well, 'cause
Obviously,
it's
it was American parents.
They,
But
they just assume because it's a comic book film, it would only be for kids. And all the waifus and weebs out there just went nuts.
they said, "Notice me, senpai, and pay attention to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I want blood and gore
Yeah.
and the F word.
Yes.
That's fuck." But yeah, it was in development hell for like 6 years.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And I think the studio, upon seeing how the fans wanted it, went, oh, we can make some money here. Go on then. When we were just looking up Tim Miller directorial debut, which, surprising,
How much money did the film make?
it made...
It's like the highest grossing R-rated film or something like that.
it's gonna
So
open the
it
door
had a
for
budget
Logan,
of
really.
58 million, supposedly, and made at box office 783 million.
More than 10 times.
Yeah,
That's insane.
it is. But this is everything people like. At the point it came out, we'd had 10 years of Marvel films, and that kind of
Formula.
even just bit risque, and they had the adult jokes in the same as Shrek did.
Yeah.
Of they were there but not overt, so kids could still watch
It was
it.
very innuendo.
And
Like,
they were like 12 and 15 over here, whereas Deadpool really did need that 18 or R rating to really push it over.
Mm.
And I think it was a big step forward because once this got the R rating, then you had Logan, I think, got the R rating as well, not long after. So it opened that door to more mature content.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
what Kevin Smith said. He just goes to prove that these films are aimed at adults. You know, they appeal to adults, and they're the ones who are cashing the checks in.
the thing is,
So,
adults grew up with these characters in many ways.
yeah.
You know? So, I mean, when I started reading Deadpool, I must have been about 14, 15, something like that. So by the time the film came out, I was 26. I'm old.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You're going coffin shopping tomorrow.
Coffin shopping.
Yeah, I want a Hello Kitty coffin.
That's alright.
I think it'd be nice.
Is that just
I
to match
just- I don't know
Deadpool's
why
bag?
But no one's getting my organs!
Oh, you have to sign that opt-out form now.
Forms. Ah,
Wait a minute, you have to opt out.
Yeah, they just changed it.
yeah.
The fuck?
No, genuinely, they just changed it so instead of an opt-in system, it's an opt-out to try and increase organ donation.
That's horrible.
Well,
Why?
go fill the form out. It's free, and you can just go fill the form out and send it in.
I don't know. It kind of feels like you're being harvested. Doesn't
You're
it?
dead. Do you care?
It's not the point. It's kind of like
Kind of
sort of-
is.
It's kind of like somebody stealing my wallet after I've finished with it. It's like I still like.
I'm
it.
still gonna. I'm gonna take your wallet.
No,
It's
see,
nice.
the whole thing is how many people keep meaning to opt in and don't, then die, and their organs can't be used.
This is this is freaking me out. Can we talk about something else?
Imagine if you got donated some of Deadpool's organs. The liver. Oh my god. You could just be the best alcoholic in the world.
To
You
be-
could be what Gazette aspires to be.
I could honestly say that I was expecting you to go with the the genital area and talk about rectal dysfunction.
Well, I don't
It
chop.
never
I don't
happening
chop
up
my
to
dick
my-
off very
I
often.
mean, it doesn't like all of
You
Deadpool's
don't chop
body.
your liver out that often either.
No, but I do drink it to death.
But didn't all of Deadpool's body have cancer? That's why it looked the way it did. So all you're doing is putting a cancerous liver inside yourself that will just spread through your whole body.
Cancerous liver. You already have 5 a day.
So yeah, Tim Miller, directorial debut here. He was
Tim Miller.
co-founder.
Tim Miller. He's a stone cold killer.
So he was the co-founder of Blur Studio, who's one of the leading visual effects studios in the industry. He's done previous work on Marvel films in the visual effects for Thor 2. Like I say, this is the first time him actually taking the reins on something, and to be honest, it kind of needed it with how much CG was in the film.
Yeah, there was a
There was
lot.
a lot of it. I mean,
Even
a lot of
it's
what
just facial
Deadpool did.
expressions were CG, weren't they?
Yeah. I mean, you had a whole CG character in there, so
Yeah.
I think that might have been part of it.
Yeah.
With so much being CG, they needed someone used to that and used to making it work.
Makes sense.
Like, at least not look really, really shit like E.T.
Whoa!
I fucking hate E.T.
That's
so
a childhood classic. How dare you?
it scared me as a child and I still hate it now.
It does look like a fetus, to be fair.
It just looks like a pile of shit with an LED in it. Anyway, so Ryan Reynolds obviously is Deadpool. That's the big casting for it. This is his third stab at
At a comic book
comic book
character?
character.
Well, I suppose technically it's his second again.
No, third.
He played Wade.
You
and
say Blade 3.
Blade 3 was his first one.
Hannibal King.
Then he did Wade.
Green Lantern.
Then he did X-Men Origins before that.
Yeah, but
Did he?
Yeah, that came out in 2009.
Yeah, and then there was Green Lantern, which would make it 3 characters,
Yeah.
4 films.
Yeah, but this is it's his fourth stab at the second character.
Yeah.
Second stab at the second character. Sorry.
We know what you were getting at.
It was it's his fourth comic book movie, and he nailed it. There we go.
You know what? 4th time's a charm.
Yeah, it is. You know.
You asked a question
I
during
did,
the film.
yeah.
I got stumped for a bit.
It sort of quietened the room for a little bit, didn't it? I mean, my question.
Is that when he farted?
No.
No, it's when he whipped
That
his
was-
dick out and slapped you in the face with it.
And asked the
Yeah.
question at the same time. Do you
It's
remember?
salty.
I was like trying to,
So I couldn't concentrate.
It
I was like, it was really, really salty, and I have to watch my sodium intake.
my question, you fuck nugget.
What's your question, Joe?
My question was if Ryan Reynolds, and of course this is not the way it would have gone down anyway, because probably the film wouldn't exist otherwise. If you couldn't have Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, who would you have playing him?
I picked Andy Samberg because you can always make someone buff, but you need the comedic timing, I felt.
I couldn't really think of one, but I agreed with Haz.
I had Ryan Gosling from The Good Guys when he was
Nice guys.
opposite Nice Guys. Sorry, when he was opposite Russell Crowe, because he had good comedic timing. Although not the same kind as Ryan Reynolds, obviously. I mean, you're talking Ryan Reynolds has done this is his entire career, from like Van
I was
Wilder,
going to say
Two
Van
Guys,
Wilder's
a Girl
the
in a
big
Pizza
Yeah.
Shop, which FYI is not what you'd imagine it
Just
to be.
waiting.
It is.
It's good. That's good. The two guys.
It's really good.
It
It's
is.
really
It's a fun
funny.
show.
And it's great because you can have that real 90s nostalgia watching it. But you can watch his career pretty much all the way through, no matter what he does. In fact, I remember seeing him in Amityville Horror, and that's when I saw he had like real acting chops.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Because
forgot he was in that.
He was terrific in that, but it wasn't
That was when he was going through his beardy phase, wasn't it?
Yeah, he had like the full-on beard, and of course the six-pack, which makes me want to vomit with jealousy.
Yeah.
And the pecs
all
and
over
the
your
arms
erection.
It's just
Mine too.
You know what?
disgusting.
It's going to be a controversial one, but recently, having seen him in a couple of films where I thought he's been quite funny, Zac Efron would.
Oh yeah.
Because Baywatch, he was actually quite funny.
I never saw that.
He's had a few Dirty Grandpa.
Another one.
Again, didn't say it.
Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him in 22
You know what?
Jump Street.
There you go.
Yeah.
But again, you kind of just think it's the.
But Channing Tatum's going to be Gambit, isn't he? Or he was.
There's talks
Is that
of
happening?
I don't know. Because
again, I think that's like Deadpool was. It's in a bit of
yeah.
Like when there was the big craze of everything got announced, and now it's
because Fox is being absorbed by Disney.
What isn't?
My soul.
My dentist has been
But yeah,
absorbed by Disney.
The Fox
like I'm going to
Entertainment-
go there in the chair, and like all of a sudden, it's
Yeah, with the Fox Entertainment division being absorbed, you've got the question of what happens with the X-Men, Fantastic Four, all these properties, and Deadpool. You look at the new trailer for Deadpool 2, that had a lot of Disney references in it.
It's a blessing that Fantastic Four's been absorbed.
Yeah, that really felt like they were just trying to keep the license. But that's a film for another time.
That? No. Well, I have another question, or a couple of questions. No,
Shoot.
just one, and I want a couple of answers. That's how I
Shoot,
should
not you
have phrased
Americans. Shoot.
This isn't a
it.
school.
We looked at you like you're a bad person. I looked at you like you were a very bad person. Right.
What is it with you and this ventriloquist voice?
I know.
Right.
You keep making me say these things.
No, I'm not.
Get your hand out of my bumhole
Why
and
did
stop
I
working
just-
me like a puppet.
Bang me like a drum.
It's a hostile.
Slap your tits.
It's a hostile podcast environment.
My question, you pair of flange. Oh, forget it. I give up. No, my question is, much in the way that people say Heath Ledger was perfect for the Joker, which actors, do you think played their character in a superhero movie perfectly? You know who
Outside
who
of Ryan Reynolds
fit?
in this.
Yeah,
Chris Evans
who?
as Captain America,
Because I have to say because he played the Human Torch.
and of course Rob Downey Jr. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, he pretty much reinvented the character.
He reinvented pretty much the whole
Yeah.
comic movie.
I will go on record, and I know it doesn't matter to anybody, and nobody will believe me even if I say it. When I first heard Heath Ledger was going to play the Joker, I was like, fuck yes, that is going to work. Because there was a scene in 10 Things I Hate About You that I used to watch over and over again because I was like a pre-teen woman, where he took the money to take out Julia Stiles, and when he took the money off the guy's hands, his smile went goddamn near ear to ear. It stretched across his face, and I was like, "Oh my god, that is the Joker."
I'd take
That's
out
so
Julia
scary.
Stiles with a sniper rifle.
I like it.
That's alright.
Charlie Cox, yes.
Yes, he's
TV's
great.
Daredevil,
Although
utterly fantastic.
The
I think-
Punisher, the new Punisher, I can't remember the actor's
Josh,
name.
John Bernthal.
John Bernthal,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Very good. They're nailing it on most fronts. I mean, the guy who plays Luke Cage, his
To be
name's
honest, I
just
think the easier
disappeared.
question is what's been the
Michael
biggest
Cole?
miscast?
Biggest miscast.
I'd say
I'm going on record here. I like Batfleck. I love Ben Affleck as Batman. I think he's a terrific pick.
I think DC, you can pick a lot of holes in it right now. I think it's just the easy.
Go for it. Which one would you say if you had to pick your number one person that you would recast?
Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor.
Oh, you
That's
didn't
a
even
good-
hesitate.
that's a
did
good
you?
shout.
You just whipped it right out.
Yeah. Shouldn't have been him. Should not have been him.
Was that based on his performance or
Just what didn't
You
fit.
know what?
Just his performance was fine.
This is a controversial one. It's not because I hate the performance. Hugo Weaving as Red Skull because I think he could have been used so much better as another villain
He
because
could
he's
have
too
been.
good an actor.
He is too good an actor. He
That-
was wasted a
That's
little bit.
more just because of
Yeah.
how they treated the character to the actor's so good.
Yeah.
He would have been fantastic as a ongoing villain.
Another great one though, the guy who played Kingpin in Daredevil.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Utterly
And also
brilliant.
David Tennant as Kilgrave as well.
To be honest, Netflix have just absolutely
Oh,
nailed
they
the
just
casting.
absolutely nailed it.
Even Iron
Yes, the
Fist.
son of a boxer.
Iron Fist was cast well, just had a bad script.
Yeah.
And I mean, the character's outdated as well.
But isn't
Rosario
Jamie...
Dawson was Claire. Oh, just utterly fantastic. It's the material as well. I mean, I remember rewatching the start of season 2 of Daredevil, and there was just not a wasted beat, and there was so much happening in that first episode of season 2 in Daredevil, and it was just...
You know what? Good person for a good cast. Young Griffith as Mr. Fantastic in the Naughty's Fantastic Four movies.
Oh yes, yeah.
He was
Hornblower.
Yeah, he was really good.
He was good. Yeah.
He played the stretchy one in the
stretchy one. I know who I know I'm not as much.
They should have called him Mr. Stretch-tastic, but the Stretch-tastic 4 wouldn't have worked.
Really
Stretch-tastic 4.
Oh, imagine if Mr. Motivator replaced him.
Oh my god!
But he was just Mr. Motivator the entire time. Didn't have any powers. He was just like standing on steps and stuff all the time.
Call me Stepman.
Best thing about Fantastic Four films is Jessica Alba and like.
I thought you were about to say the end credits.
Well, yeah, pretty much. To be fair,
you know what? Chris Evans, both as Captain America and the Human Torch.
Yeah,
he was pretty good as the Human Torch as well.
Yeah, I guess. I guess.
So it's Jessica Alba in latex
tight spandex. Yeah.
Tight spandex.
Yeah. Naughty's Jessica Alba. That's some prime woman. I would respect the shit out of her. I would have such a lovely conversation with her.
Probably take her to dinner.
Maybe,
Maybe pay for half of it.
We'd go halves because...
Halvesies, because it's equality.
Hashtag International Women's Day. Why are you making me say these things, Joe? Why are you doing this?
Oh, is this the ventriloquist?
Yeah, well, you know, you're the one doing it.
Didn't you have a third question?
There was actually a ventriloquist on the radio. Can you believe that shit? It was on the BBC. He would have just left the fucking puppet at home and have a conversation with himself. Hello, how are you? I'm fine. Thank you very much. You know, it's like, that's how it was. Yes, that's how I talk to myself.
Anyone can be a radio ventriloquist. Anyone.
To be fair, this is actually only Jamie. He's just putting on our voices.
Yeah.
It's tough on his vocal cords, but so is his Friday nights.
Yeah, especially when we speak over each other. Like that, so long.
Yeah, my next question.
Again, enough about your male relatives. No stabbing!
I swear he's actually going to impale you or something.
Shoot me like a real American.
Depends what comes up first, my pen or something else. Probably my pen. Right. I'm going to save my question till later because I feel like I've been talking too much.
I thought you asked a question.
I did ask a
No,
question.
he had like 3 or 4 questions.
Oh, okay.
Within this whole sphere of characterization.
Go on.
Go on then. Alright then. Why do people like anti-heroes? What is it about these characters?
It's not a black and white story. The grey makes it interesting.
More relatable. People.
We've all done something bad in our lives, but it doesn't make us bad people.
No one's really 100% altruistic. Yeah. So you can sort of...
Excuse me while I Google that word.
Okay, so...
Truly.
Altruistic.
Truly. Oh, it means totally, completely.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the reason I bring this up is because you kind of look at the anti-heroes and they're probably more devoid. Oh, sorry, I'll start again now. With anti-heroes, they're more devoid of a personality, more so than the hero, like the good guy hero.
What do you mean, devoid of one?
It's because they seem, well, not personality, they're more embittered.
Yeah.
They're more serious, they've got a more focused tonality about them.
I think
and
that also...
Deadpool, he literally just takes the piss out of that. So he's an anti-hero and he takes the piss out of the fact that he's an anti-hero as well.
Yeah. It's very meta.
Well, I mean, yeah.
The biggest problem I normally have with anti-heroes is they always have like a super tragic backstory. It's not just they're an anti-hero because they're a dick.
Yeah. Like if you look at
Whereas
Spawn,
Deadpool
he died.
is an anti-hero because he's a dick.
Yeah.
So it's like
he does go on the rampage for the most superficial reason.
If you look
his
at
looks change.
If you look at like what some of the biggest like Deathstroke, Punisher, that I'd say arguably they're 2 of the biggest anti-heroes.
Deathstroke's more of a villain, really, isn't he? No, like he's more of an anti-villain than an anti-hero.
Would you
he's a villain.
Wolverine as an anti-hero?
Yeah, he's an anti-hero, definitely. But like Deathstroke is a villain who'll occasionally do good things, whereas an anti-hero is a hero who'll occasionally do bad things.
Yeah,
I think that's the
I'd
difference between
I'd
them.
say it's as comics progressed, it stopped being about the good being
Yeah.
bad. It started being more about just the personal stories.
In many ways, Spider-Man's an anti-hero because he's a representation of like what we do. You know, if we were in a certain situation, like he's not perfect, he'll hurt someone. and he'll feel right to do that, and then he'll regret it over time.
Yeah, he's a bit of a cunt, isn't he?
He can be occasionally. Yeah. I mean, Superman, he was an anti-hero in the Man of Steel.
Yeah, he seemed really annoyed about a lot of stuff,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
guy.
Batman in the comics is an anti-hero because he keeps killing people.
No, you mean in the Zack Snyder movies again?
No, in the comics.
Was he killing the comics?
He's killed quite a few people in the comics.
Oh, he's killed aliens.
No, he's just killed people because he's got angry.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, genuinely.
We see
I watched
him.
a video on it on the internet. It must be true.
Oh, right,
Alex
sorry.
Jones told me
Alex,
that the chemicals in the water make the frogs day.
you better not come for our guns, or 1776 will come again. You know about
Sorry.
Alex Jones?
No, not
Sorry.
a clue.
Sorry.
No, we went off it a bit, man.
Nah,
There is
yeah,
a rager going on.
It has to be shown an Alex Jones meme. Sorry.
Alex Jones meme. Hang on, just for a second. Can we completely talk about why you like the idea of an anti-hero?
My favourite comics to read. I find them much more interesting because you don't know if they're going to do the right thing or not.
No.
So it's that instability in them, I suppose, because they all have that snapped mentality somewhat, and you just don't know, are they going to let the person walk away at the end, are they actually going to turn them in or just kill them? And they're invariably they're fighting for whatever reason they've got, and it's that uncompromising moral compass they have that make them, like if you take the Punisher for example, he's not a good guy or a bad guy, just wants justice in his own way.
Yeah.
And the comic constantly plays skip rope with what side of the line he's on. I think that's what makes him interesting. Even I haven't said that. Even you can go as far as saying like Judge Dredd is
Judge Dredd is such an anti-hero,
because he represents law and justice, but the way
in a fascist society, yeah.
And they're the heroes for me that just make it interesting to read. But that's a personal.
Keeps you turning the page, doesn't it?
That's just a personal thing. I get people who like Superman and the goody two shoes ones, but.
I mean, you could enjoy both.
I think the thing is with anti-heroes, they're not aspirational heroes.
No.
They're more relatable heroes.
I think I genuinely believe it's easier to write a bad guy interesting than a good guy interesting, because a good guy gets on your nerves for being a goody two shoes.
Well, actors prefer playing bad guys in most cases, don't they?
Yeah.
I like the scene from Seven when Morgan Freeman's character said, I sympathise. He said it's easier to beat a child than it is to raise it. It's easier to steal a car than it is to, earn it. That.
I think it's easier for humans to be evil than good, because being good takes more effort.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so difficult to write a good guy.
Because they're exhausting.
Because when people read them, it's almost sickening in how good they are.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the anti-hero works more, is because people see those cracks in that good facade, and that's what they cling on to. I think that's why now you see a lot more gritty good guys, where that line's being told more.
Oh, you get good guys. I mean, would it be an anti-hero if you get someone who doesn't really do anything bad, but has something that you would frown upon, like maybe he's an alcoholic, or
so you're talking about if you have a vice, but they're a good person.
Yeah, exactly. Is a drug addict and stuff like that. I mean, I don't consider drug addicts to be bad people anyway, but
I'd say that we're at a point now where the anti-hero almost is most good guy characters. Because they've all been given the flaws, because that's what makes humans interesting, because everyone's flawed. And
speak for yourself.
But you look
fucking mint me.
You look at like the Supermans and Batmans from back in like the 60s, and they are just sickening to kind of read, and you're just like, oh, it's just.
There come times when these characters reflect the society that they're in.
That's the other thing.
Need for that particular kind of character.
I think if you reflect on society, there is no shining beacon of light of good anymore.
If you go to the 50s and it's
that's dark.
Good old-fashioned apple pie.
Genuinely, you look at the last 10 years and the world's just been dragged through shit.
Oh, it has been.
No one has come out smelling of roses.
We are living in the darkest timeline right now.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
World War II.
Yeah, I'd say so. We're
doing. I get to go home and watch Netflix. I am not worried about a bomb being dropped on my head. I'm in a good place in the world. I'm very lucky.
But you live in a country where someone just got poisoned with a nerve agent.
When did that happen?
Literally, like last week.
Yeah,
I don't watch the news.
Russian spy.
That's the thing. Like
this is turning into a conspiracy podcast.
No, that is actually news.
No,
It's in the BBC News and everything.
Genuinely, and it happened in the Salisbury of all places. If you went into ZZ's on Monday, then you like have to like wash all your stuff and everything just in case. Because they found trace amounts of nerve.
Still treating people for it.
Seriously?
Yeah, genuinely.
The fuck?
But I'd say that the world has become such a darker place that I think comics are a reflection of the world, and we use comics as escapism from it, but it can't be too disconnected, otherwise we just don't enjoy it as much.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's gone. You look at movies, there's no out and out good guys anymore in movies. They're all got this.
In many ways we have to empathise with these characters.
Yeah.
We are less aspirational now, and we're more grounded.
But I would say that now we look for the flawed human overcoming that flaw much more in a story, because we appreciate
find that more satisfying.
I think we appreciate that more than just the perfect being hitting, like killing people or just getting down on the man. It's just like. Yeah.
I always thought the anti-hero was a bit of a sort of societal release. You know, you kind of, as you say, people by and large in a society, you go out, you're a good person, or you try your best to be a good person, and through this escapism, which is exactly what entertainment is, movies, TV, whatever it is, you get an anti-hero who can literally go around, even like to a fashion Daredevil, beating up the bad guys with his fist. You couldn't fucking do that. You go down to the shop, punch some guy in the face for jumping in front of the queue or whatever it is. You face consequences.
I think if you look at when the anti-hero, you look at when the anti-hero is introduced, particularly they became really popular because that's what people were looking for, and I think a lot of the companies had to move their out and out good guys in that direction for them to remain popular, and I think that's where that's come, and now we're getting the movies like that as well with Marvel, with its so many really good guys, and now we're getting those grey areas coming through, and it's making it much more interesting universe. When
it comes to comics, though, you can trace it back to one point in time, and that was the mid-80s, when two major books came out, and that was Alan Moore's Watchmen, for one thing, and The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Because that is when people really started taking this as literature, like real, like
it stopped being comics for kids and started being graphic novels.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, Watchmen, for example, that's all anti-heroes essentially in a dark Cold War environment. Same with Dark Knight Returns, Cold War environment. You've got a Batman that breaks people's limbs and says...
You look at like what came through 2000 AD back in the day. It was all very much looking at society, and I mean, V for Vendetta.
Yeah, that came out a couple of years before Watchmen.
Yeah, mid-80s, and I think they really set the tone.
It's a British thing.
Yeah, the indie scene set the tone, and then the big companies followed because that's what was successful.
Well, we've always had a darker sense of humour than Americans anyway.
Oh yeah.
So that's why, like, books like 2000 AD that are funny while being dark, you know. So that when I think when what do they call it again? The British invasion happened in the 80s, where loads of comic writers and artists from the UK went overseas and started working for Marvel and DC. That's when this whole anti-hero thing really started, and who they influenced.
I would also say that you kind of...
But you got to give Frank Miller props in that.
A lot of the anti-heroes came out right near the end of the Cold War, and I'd say the world now is comparable probably to then, with how much fear there is in the world, and that's why these people are clinging more to this.
Everyone's scared of the bomb back then.
I mean, I would...
And things haven't really changed.
I wouldn't hesitate to say you've got a madman with his finger on the button in America.
Yeah.
And you've got one in North Korea.
And you might have a little one, a bit of a one in Russia as well.
You've got Russia power playing around the world, and people are scared, and that's what comics are there for.
Yeah. Comics
are there for your release of that like, you want to escape. So, getting onto the film itself, the intro... One of the best comic book comic book movie intros I've seen in a long time. It just knew exactly what its audience was from the outset.
It set the tone immediately
with its like false like credits at the start.
Yeah, the music in the background, "Call Me Angel."
Just like sexiest man alive, Ryan Reynolds, stuff like that. It was just
a British villain.
Yeah, it was just perfect, and I love the fact that we'd all seen the test footage, and it was straight away linked to that test footage.
Yeah.
And I thought that was fantastic.
We were chatting a bit earlier on, kind of how juxtaposition works between, two mediums, and obviously the first thing you see is all this violent imagery, and then what you start to hear is "Just call me angel of the morning," that stuff, and it's there to sort of disorientate you, make you laugh, this kind of, and I was saying that the way that can be, you can use juxtaposition in a lot of different ways. One, in humour, just in the way Deadpool handles himself in a very violent situation, like good Deadpool, bad Deadpool, like and he reacts in this over comical fashion into a situation that would otherwise terrify somebody, and they would have to take that situation seriously. He doesn't, so that's the juxtaposition between the two, and that makes the humour. But it can be done in horror films as well. I was saying about Halloween 2, they played Boom Boom But Mr. Sandman, and everything was really creepy because that was an upbeat song, really happy, really positive, and then there was creepy shit going on. They did it with The Strangers when they were playing this happy
Sequel
music
for that
on the
soon.
vinyl. Oh, I can't wait. And that, the vinyl music was playing, and it was this really cheerful song, and you could see these China doll masks coming through the window and shit, and it was so frightening. But it's really interesting the way they do that in films. I think it's really good.
We had the slow-mo intro, and the thing I like about this is that we've almost seen at this point in the intro 3 times with the test footage leak. We get the slow-mo here, and then we get the action sequence in a minute. And I think it's great that they knew how much people loved the test footage, so they thought, we'll use it twice as small. We've already got it, might as well use it again.
That's true.
And I think it really played on. It set the tone as well. Like, you got the comedy straight away, but you also got that dark tone and the violence through it. But it very much just went, here you go. This is what to expect. If you don't like it, leave now.
Yeah.
And then we got Deadpool in the cab, and for me, this perfectly offset the intro of just where he's just bored in the back,
looking at Segway tours and stuff.
Fiddling with the gum on the roof.
Yeah. And having it on the lens.
I really like
that was the first fourth wall break as well, straight away, where he takes it off the lens.
I like how the opening line as well, like he says, is kind of lonesome back here.
Yeah.
As well, it kind of sets the tone of the character.
And I instantly absolutely. It sets its own little sub story going with the love interest of the cab driver.
Yeah.
And I thought that was brilliant.
All I've done, by the way, for the listeners is, I in my notes I haven't written anything about the story or anything. I've just written my favourite quotes in the whole thing. Yeah. Because it was easier.
What's your first one?
First one is 2 hobos fucking in a shoe filled with piss.
I don't even remember
that. Was in the cab ride where he's talking about love, and he's explaining it to the cab driver.
Yeah. If only your dad sat you down and explained that one.
You can draw your diagram if you want.
I'd really rather not.
Might be a video out there somewhere.
Sure there will be.
But so we get the cab ride, and you get the crisp high five at the end.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I just love the fact of straight away, it's just like, I don't have my ammo with me. He's just sat on the bridge, drawing a picture, and you get that fourth wall break then straight away of, okay, he's going to talk to the camera. Then he interrupts his own story because the action scene has to happen. And then we get, like I say, the intro again, but we get it in more detail. And this is where the test footage really showed of, they didn't try to hide it in the middle of the movie. It was like, we know what you want to see, here you go. And they just polished it a bit more.
You happened to catch something, didn't you, during the radio scene when he was getting his head bashed up against the radio? Yeah.
There was an Easter egg of I think it was the 60s Batman of the and it was so quick, and it must be one of the first times that Marvel or DC's referenced the other company.
Hurry, Robin! We have to make a cameo in a Marvel film.
Yeah, let me get my Easter egg spray out.
To the Bat Radio.
But
to the Bat Radio station.
I just wrote for this, which is what kind of it's very rare to write this. It was fast-paced, high-octane, gory death action scene.
Octane.
Oh, okay. In a comic book movie, it was you're going to use that R rating straight off properly. And you just see all the blood and gore in it, and it's just okay.
Some of it was very slapsticky as well.
Yeah.
So I think that offsets how gruesome this is. It's really violent, and then you've got an episode of Bottom happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Just got Eddie and Richie beating each other up. Yeah.
There was
With cigarette lighters and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's like, I don't say this often,
But don't swallow.
It's
Rich Corinthian leather.
just straight away, it was just one-liners on like almost every kill.
Yeah.
And
You can tell how, if you're a villain, someone like that is annoying.
yeah.
Because it just doesn't shut up.
Yeah, you can see why they wanted to stitch his mouth shut.
Yeah.
But
Because the director of X-Men Origins was a villain.
Because halfway through this, we just see Colossus just eating some cereal, just in the kitchen. He's like, we should probably go.
I love how in it he's always CGI as well.
Yeah.
Instead of like being human and then turning the...
That's why they blew the budget.
Yeah.
Can't afford.
That's where that
something
58 million came from.
Yeah.
I think Ryan Reynolds was doing it for free.
50 of that must have been Colossus, because I have to say that was some gorgeous CGI on him.
Yeah, it looked great.
That was amazing.
I mean, it was obvious CGI.
Oh yeah, but
it was. I mean, look.
if you're in for a penny, you might as well do it properly.
Yeah.
And I mean, Deadpool had that same thing going about it once he had the mask on. It was very CG on Deadpool as well for a lot of it, but it worked because the film was like that. So nothing stood out too much as being like computer generated.
Yeah.
So we also at this point meet Teenage Negasonic Warhead.
You wrote that down, didn't you?
I did, because it always confused me why they're called Negasonic and not Megasonic.
My favourite bit of that as well is when she's talking about the house blowing up, and Colossus just goes, "House blowing up builds character." I mean, I guess.
Hey, doucheball.
Just instantly, he's just like, here, breakfast is the most important. He's just like the proper wholesome good guy that we were just talking about.
Yeah,
he's like, have breakfast.
Most important meal of day.
It is
Protein bar. Good for bones.
And I thought that was like a really nice little scene of he's the out and out good guy, and then you got the angsty teen that we're used to from so many comic book movies
and just TV in general.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
You could argue that Colossus is put there for our own sanity.
I'd love to give
good person.
I think
I'd love
he's
to give
put there as a measuring stick.
Yeah,
I think
I
a
suppose.
measuring stick.
Yeah,
Of like a good character. Like
that's why he's got the
like,
lines on
It
him.
could also be
Yeah.
It could also be Colossus is put there just to sort of re-emphasise how bad Wade actually is.
I mean, he's a particularly goody two shoes in this though, Colossus.
Yeah.
But then we go to the shootout on the highway. So we've had the chase scene. Now we've got the proper shootout scene.
Yeah, where he's only got 12 bullets.
And what I noticed on this is he's counting the bullets, and I'm sure the first one he's counting upwards for the people he's killed. So I'm sure it says 1 and 2, then
12.
3.
Starts with 12.
I thought it said 1, 2, and then 3. Because the first 3 die, and you see the bullet, and you have the number on it.
I noticed the number. I didn't notice which one.
I thought it started with
with
12 and
So
gone
the
down.
problem is, I'm sure the second
Okay,
bullet,
let's watch it again.
I'm sure the second bullet that you see says 3 on it, and it just confused me. I was just like, what are you counting down, up? What? But yeah, I love the counting and just.
I love who was counting it, and it started with A and then ended 2
Yeah.
and ended C.
And I just, it was just great how frivolous he'd get every now and again with his ammo, and he'd chastise himself. Like, bad Deadpool, good Deadpool. And like when he's missing bullets, he's just getting angry. It was just.
Oh, he shoots that guy 4 times
Yeah.
and goes, "Shit, worth it."
And I just thought that whole scene was just brilliant.
It was great choreography as well. It looked awesome.
It was the perfect mixture of comedy and action.
Yeah.
And like,
There
out
wasn't
and out
too
gore.
many one-liners in it, because that would have got old really fast.
Yeah.
If it had just been one after another, it'd been like a Tim Vine comedy gig. You'd just been like, tell me a proper joke, not a one-liner.
Even, I mean, it was how he reacted as he was going through, wasn't it? I mean, he was walking on the opposite side of a car, then all of a sudden he saw the villain through the glass and he went, "Ah!" Like sort of went a duck. Like a Scooby-Doo reaction. It's great.
It was awesome. And it ends with him skewering some guy on his 2 swords after he's used up all of his bullets.
Yeah.
And then we go into the flashback from there.
No, yeah, we get the 2 years before, and we're introduced to Sister Margaret's bar.
Well, we open up with him.
Threatening the pizza boy.
Yeah, threatening the pizza boy after using the litter tray.
He kind of looked a bit like Jay from The In-Betweeners.
He did, yeah, I thought that.
Yeah.
He's like a shit American version.
You want to go see Deadpool, Jay? Nah, mate, been in it.
Completed it.
Completed it, mate.
Completed Deadpool. Fucking loved it.
I got to finger the main bird in it, didn't I?
It's like Deadpool up here, right? Alright, do you have a Cockney accent?
What was quite good was that it kind of showed straight off as well of like he wasn't getting paid to do that. It just seemed to do it.
Yeah.
And it was pro bono case.
Yeah, and it showed the wit, even like then. And I would have to say, while we were talking earlier about other actors that could play it, I just can't envision anyone else but Ryan Reynolds doing that.
He's immersed himself so much in that role.
It's exceptional. It was basically like somebody training for something their entire life and they weren't sure what it was until it appeared in front of them, and that's how I thought Ryan Reynolds' career was.
It is what Van Wilder did after he left college.
I've got to say, my favourite bit in that though is when he just kisses the pizza boy.
Yeah. You're gonna find out that I have some hard spots. That came out wrong. Or did it? Let the guy whimpers.
And then we're introduced to Sister Margaret's bar, which seems to be the main meeting place for mercenaries.
Where everybody knows your name.
Yep, except Frasier is what's his name?
Fat Gandalf.
Is it T.J. Miller?
T.J. Miller. Yeah. Who plays Weasel.
I thought it was all right.
It's enough to bear a grudge, apparently.
He was all right in this. I guess it's just one that I didn't really like, the Weasel character, but it's in the name, I suppose.
He served his purpose and he had a few good lines, I thought. It was good.
The avocado line was my favourite one.
Yeah.
It was like, hate fucking it, like not gentle.
Something had gone wrong with the marriage, and
this is the only catharsis they could get without violence. He was hate fucking it.
It was good though. I like you got introduced to the concept of a Deadpool that they have there, and Weasel had put it on Wade.
Yeah. Weasel gives Wade a blowjob.
Yeah.
A drink.
Yes, which Wade then sends over to some other guy in the bar who's another mercenary and says another guy who he picked on the Deadpool sent it over, but the guy survives the beating that the other guy ultimately gives him.
So we see we see that morbid sense of humour at that point as well. This is where we meet Vanessa as well, who he uses all of his money to spend time with at the arcade.
Yes, yeah.
And he gets his
putting some balls in holes.
Is it a Voltron ring he gets?
He gets a Voltron ring.
Is it Voltron?
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets a Voltron ring and she gets a pencil eraser. And then he gives her the Voltron ring for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
More
2.5 minutes of hugging.
Yeah. And then I've just got written down sex through the year.
My favourite one.
Literally like a pornographic calendar, isn't it?
It is.
Valentine's Day, Chinese New Year, International Women's Day.
That's my favourite one.
And then Thanksgiving.
International Women's Day is amazing. Oh wow.
Equal opportunities.
Yeah. That's all we're saying. You're gonna have to go watch it.
It's just the gulp.
Yeah.
It's just the no. But I thought it was very good.
We found out he when he proposes to her.
Yeah.
He then collapses.
Cancer. This is where we see him topless for the first time.
Yeah.
And this is where Joe went by.
Yeah, he's just awesome.
Absolutely shredded.
Yeah, it was ridiculous how ripped he was.
It's totally sick. It's awesome.
And
it's like when you see The Rock take his top off in a film.
The Rock doesn't take his top off though. He kind of just like
bursts out of
his shirt. Yeah, he's kind of like he's already through his shirt basically.
Phases out.
Yeah, he just like sort of suck the t-shirt in and then go.
He absorbs the material in the shirt for
extracts
protein.
the protein.
Yeah. And then the rest just falls out
of his eyebrow.
Yeah.
So then we have the cancer bit.
Cancer revelation,
Yeah, and it feels like we're rattling through, but at the start we had a lot of very short scenes.
Yeah.
And the film really did go from short scenes to very long scenes.
Yeah.
And at this point it's very quick with its changes.
And this is where you build up sympathy for the character as well.
Yeah, you get that. You almost get that selfless nature in him as well, as if he just kind of wants to have a happy life and he's like just forget me. I don't want to
he
drag you
fade
down.
out because he knows the hopelessness of the situation.
Yeah.
But he's given the option to get healed by some shady organisation.
Shady
Before that,
advert
this is
get.
that first. We go back to the present day.
Yeah, we were discussing this about narrative structure,
and we
the
see
way to tell the story.
the X-Men have arrived and stop him.
Oh yes, you're right.
Doing stuff to Francis.
Stop him doing stuff to the 200-pound sack of arseholes.
What I did like is where he said, "This has gone sideways," and the character was actually sideways on the screen. I was like, "Yeah, I appreciate that."
Colossal way.
Yeah. I love
just
when
really like dick slapping us with the irony there.
I love when he's beating the shit out of Francis, and he raises his hand back, whacks Colossus in the nuts, has a bit of a feel, and just goes, "Dad."
And then we go back into the past for the offer. But what I like here is there was
well, not quite yet.
There was a little reference to the origins.
There was, yeah.
I thought it was good.
But doesn't he go back to?
Or something?
It's after Colossal throws him at the vehicle. Isn't that when he?
Yeah.
He flashes back to when the offer is.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And he picks up the action figure, and that just made me smile.
Yeah, the action figure of Deadpool, how he was in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
When his mouth was shut in that film as
I
well.
love how Ryan Reynolds can poke fun at his failures.
Yeah.
That's quite good. Well, not his failures, because he was just the actor, essentially, but the things that bombed that he...
Yeah, I don't think anything... None of those films bombed because of his acting.
No.
You could argue.
Yeah. I got to say, he's been good in virtually everything I've seen him in.
Yeah, I mean, I liked him in Green Lantern. I just thought there was a lot wrong with that film.
Yeah, he was my favourite part of Blade Trinity.
Yeah, he was awesome. I like Blade Trinity. It's the same kind of thing. I like Daredevil, Blade Trinity. A lot of these kind of films that people seem to have some nerd.
I like all the Blade films. I thought Trinity was.
I like Daredevil.
Yeah. Me too.
I'm looking forward to
the guy who played Kingpin, Duncan.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Awesome.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Awesome character. We were saying about the narrative structure here. If you really wanted to, I mean, in its entirety, the film has the start, middle, and end, but it's the order in which they choose to tell the story, which makes it, I suppose, interesting, or at least changes it up in a way, because it kind of goes. From my count, it started off from the middle, being the fight scene, to going back to the start, introducing who he was, going back to the fight in the middle, going back to the start, introducing the cancer, introducing the middle, the fight, the X-Men, going back to the start, him becoming Deadpool, and it jumps between the middle of the start, the middle of the start, and keeps jumping back to the start until eventually the start becomes the middle, and then it just carries on from there, which I realise when I explain that out loud, it sounds confusing, but as a narrative, that's how they deliver it, which I thought was quite interesting. It wasn't like a sort of mentor kind of.
It almost gave you the exposition when you needed it without it seeming too obvious.
But I think another thing, people, at least I am, are sick of superhero origin movies.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've had Spider-Man's origin twice. That's why Homecoming seemed to just gloss over it.
Yeah.
Virtually every
Superman's had
had a bunch of them. Batman, of course, has had a bunch of them. So
it's the running joke, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's pretty good that they've started with him as Deadpool, and you got the action straight away, and you got to see the character, and then it jumped back, and this is how this happened. Let's go back to
it didn't spend too much time on the origin either. Like, it gave you the setup for all the key players in that first flashback. Yeah. The second flashback is kind of what gets him into. It's that second narrative of moving that you've been introduced. That this is the vehicle to move it to how he becomes Deadpool. But I thought it was there was no superfluous scenes in it. There was nothing that you just felt was padding.
Yeah.
Which was very. And I think that's the way it's told means that there was no padding in it.
Yeah.
Which is very handy.
Which is good.
Yeah. So then we get the offer with Mr. Pedophile.
Yeah.
And what I like about this is as he's giving him this offer to cure his cancer, he says, we'll make you a superhero, and he just goes, oh, no hero. I'm not in the hero business.
Yeah.
And I quite like how he's quite forceful on that all the way through.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really nice little touch for the character, like for motivation in there, because he's very much upfront saying, I am not a hero. Yeah. This is not a superhero movie.
Even though it is.
Yeah.
But okay.
To a fashion, I suppose. He doesn't actually save anyone, does he? I mean, apart from Vanessa, but that was of his own, out of his own interest.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't out of
He
altruism.
he saves the pizza stalker girlfriend situation. That's right at the start, and even then he sort of fesses up to that being like a sort of one-off pro bono case that he's doing he's doing all this other bad
But what's
stuff.
funny is
He saved all of our faith in the franchise, though.
if you
That's
remember,
okay.
just to skip to something at the end when Colossus says being a hero is only down to 4 or 5 moments, and through the film there are like these odd little moments where he is that traditional superhero.
Do tell.
Of like with the pizza guy, like he lets him live. That's a moment of good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's not a hero, except in that moment he was.
Give me another one.
When he says Vanessa.
Well,
That's
that's acting out of self-interest. If she dies, then he's kind
He
of
also saved a
alone.
human. He saved a human being,
Which one?
Vanessa.
Yeah, no, but I told you that's out of self-interest.
Taxi driver.
He actually encouraged him to murder somebody. That's not being a hero, dude.
Killing Ajax.
You know what to do.
He didn't kill Bob.
That's true.
There
He
we
didn't
go.
kill Bob.
The you know when
The
he
guy
was
from
having,
Jacksonville.
the guy who was having the fight with, and then he just stopped and went, Bob?
Oh yeah, but
He
that
just knocked
was
him
like,
out instead.
Yeah, but he slaughtered like.
He took
Yeah.
in a
9 other
blind
people.
woman into his house.
He didn't take her in. She's like paying half the rent and setting up
No,
the IKEA
there-
furniture.
There is no rent. She just has to set up the furniture and snuggle.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why do you know that?
because he says it's on. He says in the Craigslist advert. That's how we found her. Genuinely. Go rewatch
How
it.
can a blind woman use Craigslist?
I know.
You bad man.
Just saying, I don't
You are
understand how it works.
Joe, why would you make him say that?
Fuck's it, I'm not a ventriloquist.
Do iPads come in Braille now? Is that what it is?
Oh, fuck off. So, after the offer...
You're on your own. Fuck off.
Okay. I'm being genuine. I don't know how
I
a
thought you were
blind.
supposed to say, I'm being
It's called,
Jamie. This is what I do.
text-to-speech.
Okay.
So,
How do they activate that? If they're...
You know what?
Okay, fair
I'm
enough.
not even going down this.
Did they get the tablet set up by Curry's PC World?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Or like help the blind or whatever the charity is. Right. Anyway.
Hurt my morality, really do.
You don't have any.
That's true. But if I did, it would hurt.
Yep.
So
I'm a fairly okay person sometimes.
I can't argue that. You hit me in the tit. Dick.
so then we go back to the modern day after the offer, and we get him making the pro con list on joining the X-Men, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just like all these pros. He's like, but then there's this one con. No. And I've just got written the pro con into them. Then he starts fighting Colossus. He breaks one hand,
So amazing.
then the other hand.
Absolutely.
And at this point, I think I mentioned it's a bit of a Black Knight Monty Python reference.
All the dinosaurs fear the T-Rex.
Yeah. But just where he's hopping around, he's broke both arms, his leg, and it's always like, 'tis but a flesh wound. And I love how he escapes them. Just very like coyoteing, cutting off his own hand, and where it spins, it's just the middle finger. It's just like, yes.
Straight in Colossus'
Dead
face.
or alive, you're going with me.
Oh, and Ajax escapes, so that's what resulted in his fight with.
I just love that.
That doesn't. I promise this gets worse for you. He's like on the floor, broken.
Yeah, that's just fantastic.
And when he escapes, jumps in a trash.
Yeah, and this
Truck.
is where we get the final flashback to this time the lab. So he takes up the offer after sneaking out on Vanessa, and this is where we're introduced to Angel, Dustin, and Ajax properly. And my favourite thing on this is just where he's trying to find out Ajax's real name.
Yeah. So he's being tortured, basically, to activate
Yeah.
his inner mutant power that everyone apparently has. You know what? When I was a teenager, I so hoped I was a mutant. I was approaching puberty, and I was like, oh, I hope I have a mutant power like they do in the X-Men.
What were you hoping for?
super masturbation powers, probably.
You got him. It's
Yep.
fine.
Yes!
Dream come true.
I'm doing it right now. Notice how both my hands are visible. Yep, you're not looking at them. Look at them.
You know,
I just came.
in the in the Total Recall when there's that thing in that guy's belly with the small arms. That's what you've got, isn't it? It's just like
A little hand that pops out from my balls and just tugs it away. I'm done. I'm done. Done.
So one of the things I quite liked in like some of the lab bit was once he finds out that Ajax's real name's Francis by stealing his dry cleaning tab, and we see very briefly that it's actually called Francis Freeman. So you've got that Marvel alliteration going on.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was quite a nice little touch because it's one of those bugbears I have with
Well, we got
Marvel.
Ajax from a dish soap.
Yeah. And we also at this point see just how sadistic Ajax is once he's put him in that the oxygen pressure tank.
Yeah.
And we just see that full on sadistic. And what I quite liked here was he dashed all that hope of you're not going to be a superhero.
You're going to be a slave.
Through all the films so far, we've seen I'm not a hero, and then finally it's well,
I'd rather be one than that.
At that moment it's taken away. He's almost like, I kind of want to be.
Yeah.
But it's not said, it's just all in the film, and I thought it was really well acted, that bit.
That's mostly because, I mean, he's going to be sold away and never been able to see his loved one again, really, isn't it? It's taken everything away from him, as well as physically smashing him up.
So then we get his actual mutation, into the old ball sack that he becomes.
Yeah.
Looks like a grape left out in the sun too long.
Freddy Krueger face fucked a topical map of Utah, whatever it was.
Yeah. So he nuts Angel straight in the face.
Yeah.
Through the thing, we were just like, she's chewing the match.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so stupid. And then we're like, alright, plot device.
There we go. That's why.
Really what it's for.
Does she do it any time after that?
Yeah, she
Okay.
does when Ajax gets back, she stitched him up as she's walking away, she puts one in her mouth.
Oh.
Well, yeah, just
Oral fixation.
You said that then as well.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a rather small instrument as well, really, isn't it? It's a match.
Well,
You got what you got.
she likes him little. Maybe I should introduce her to me.
Why did you keep eye contact with me? That's just me.
Why did you say it in his voice?
I hate you both.
So at that point we get the fire in the lab.
Yeah, with what Wade, sorry, at this point does with
isn't
the
this
match.
where we get like the hint of a dick shot on Ryan Reynolds, I believe?
Yeah, you see the wang.
Yeah.
You see when he's in his fight with Ajax,
It's
and
not something I actually noticed.
I only know it because I read it at the time. I think every girl out there looked for that.
yeah, it's just the outline. It's fine. It's good. It's a good dick. It's a good
Why
dick.
not? Yeah, why not?
It's a suckable dick. Well,
So
not
again, making that firm eye contact, I don't like it.
So-
you maintained it.
So here we
You
see.
mucky tart.
So we see Wade Wilson just lose the fight to Ajax. In
Yeah.
Quite a fun way of, and he has to watch his friend die.
Yeah.
That's I think the worst thing out of that. He has to watch someone burn.
Yeah.
Everything, the whole world burn
It's
around
a
him while he's
casual
powerless.
acquaintance. I wouldn't call him a friend. He was like,
It was someone who was nice to him.
that's true.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah,
get each
it's-
other through a
it's
tough
still bad.
situation.
Yeah, like a comrade.
Comrade.
Yeah, just like Colossus is a comrade.
Who are you? Comrade question. Hashtag Archer reference.
Danger zone!
We needed at least one.
Love
But
that
there's
TV
two.
show.
The Archer's a great example of an anti-hero, to be fair. Going back to your old question.
Absolutely
Yeah.
love him.
But yeah,
There's like actually no such thing as a good person in that entire show. They all suck.
they do. They're all the worst.
So anywho,
So then I just got written bar conversation, and this is kind of he's got out the lab, he's stalked his former girlfriend, then he goes to the bar and he's talking to Weasel, And
And Weasel doesn't help his situation at all. So he looks like an avocado had sex with an older, uglier avocado.
Not gently.
Yeah. And that is what Joe said about the topical map of Utah earlier.
and it's just brilliant. And from that conversation, we almost get that light bulb moment of his name.
Captain Deadpool.
Yep.
Scaredevil. Mr. Never Die. I would have loved to have heard him being called Scaredevil. That's a fantastic name. Loved it. That's like it should be like a spin-off from Daredevil. Scaredevil.
Sounds like a pro wrestler name, that though, doesn't it?
Yeah. Something Scooby-Doo had to handle.
Did you hear what Stone Cold Steve Austin was going to be called originally?
No.
Fang McFrost.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah, genuinely.
frig is that?
Yeah, he just said no. I'm not being called Fang McFucking Frost.
Just told him to fuck off.
I don't fucking blame him. That's terrible.
So I've got here that we kind of see, this is where we see the evolution of Deadpool from loser to winner.
Yeah.
Really, we see him make his first costume out of white. And this is the first time we have that fourth wall break chronologically.
Yeah.
In it. And
This shit's
you
gonna
said
have
that
nuts in it.
because I just before this, I just commented that is the first.
When does he start breaking the
Yeah,
fourth
when
wall?
does
And it's
breaking the wall.
just after the fight, as his sanity really starts to slip, he said. And I thought this was fantastic little montage, really, of
So fun.
we're introduced to the future flatmate as well. Of when he's trying to wash the blood out of the white clothes. It's like, just wear red, dumbass. Oh, that was brilliant. The perfect amount of sass.
Is it the mask? Is it muffling my voice?
And he catches up with Jared from Subway.
Yeah, yeah.
It's brilliant. It's almost like he's going to tell him without any torture. He's like, no. You might want to look away, camera. And then you just get the reaction of just, ooh! As you hear the crack.
And the scream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favourite scene is in that sequence there with the Zamboni. They're about to be killed by a Zamboni.
Oh, you quoted this before we'd even sat down to watch it. You were quoting some of this scene.
Love that, Tell me who your fucking boss is, or you're gonna die.
I missed one of my favourite lines though.
Which one?
When we get introduced to Blind Al, and she just goes, "God, I miss cocaine."
And for me, that's probably my favourite set of scenes in this whole film. Is that like little, because that's like the very quick. That's basically what Iron Man 1 was condensed into like a 3-minute sequence, and I thought it was brilliant.
And then it flashes forward to the point that they're at now.
Yeah, and then you get like kind of that fast forward, and it was almost videotape-esque.
Yeah.
To him just you're back on it.
Yeah. You know, went a bit too far where he took one out.
With the unicorn on its face.
You weren't meant to see that.
Oh, God. Yes.
I like how the trash people just drop him off at home.
Yeah.
It's like they just know where he lives.
Sorry, I got blood on your garbage.
Yeah.
And then we get introduced to him living with Blind Al as well.
Yeah.
Which is quite fun.
With her building IKEA furniture. Which
Blind person building IKEA furniture.
And it's brilliant because when she says, "Why am I building it?" that's when he brings up the agreement.
Yeah.
How you build the furniture and you don't have to pay rent.
I don't remember hearing that bit.
Yeah, he said
Honestly.
that,
That's brilliant. That whole bit with his Crocs.
She can't see anything and she's putting together and stuff.
And she sits down, ta-da, and it just fucking falls to pieces.
And then we get hashtag drive-by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, had all the humour required for 15-year-olds.
Yeah,
And
me.
we laughed like little
Of course
15-year-olds.
We did.
Of course we did.
His hand's starting to grow back as well.
His baby hands.
So,
It's like a tiny...
KFC Spock.
My strong hand!
Nice little scary movie too there.
I know, yes. I don't think a lot of people are going to get that reference.
Go watch
obviously
it.
we called it.
I love how he was stroking her face. It's like, is your hand really small? And I was like, about the size of a KFC Spock.
Yeah.
And
You better go.
Yeah.
This is going to feel weird.
I love how he describes David Beckham as well. Sounds like he mouth sexed a can of helium. which is just quality.
That's true. Then
The
after
British
that we get
fuckstick who did this to me.
then after that we get the jump forward to Ajax and Angel going to the bar, and instantly it's just Weasel's like, nope, don't know him. Pull the picture down, and then, nope, don't know him. Gets lifted up. You don't want to do that there. They're all pointing guns, and you just think, I bet they'd kill you all.
How funny you're a midnight screening of Blade 2.
Yeah. And then we have a conversation between Weasel and Deadpool. And they're like, you should really go see her. Like, now.
It sort of cuts to them going to the strip club that she works at, where Stanley is the DJ.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I'm sure was like his
actual job.
Yeah, he's like his favourite cameo ever. There was one he actually openly admitted to, which again, you know, is just one of those real ego things.
This is one where he saves a little girl in Spider-Man. Yeah.
Go on, tell it. You can...
in the first Spider-Man film, the scene where the Green Goblin attacks at the parade, and he blows up a balcony, and there's all the rocks falling. Stanley rushes in, picks up a little girl, and runs off. Now, that could be taken out of context, really. An old man grabbing a little girl and running off. But Stanley is the man, so I think it's fine. Although, I've got to say, as I get a bit older, I'm starting to see some gaping flaws in Stanley. In that, I don't think he really did as much as he says.
No, he is cashing that cow.
I think it all falls down to the artist more than anything. Like Jack Kirby is. Have you heard about Jack Kirby? Jack Kirby is considered the man. He created the Fantastic Four with Stan Lee. He was the artist on it. The Avengers. I think he did Iron Man as well. He didn't do Spider-Man. I know that. He worked on Captain America and all sorts. One day, neo-Nazis, because he's Jewish, neo-Nazis came to his studio and he
How
beat.
long ago was this?
Oh, this was like in the 60s.
Oh, right.
Yeah, neo-Nazis came to his studio and he beat the shit out of them.
Really?
Just him, he beat the shit out of 4 neo-Nazis.
Nice.
Because he's like he was ex-army and all sorts.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But it took a while for him to get his name on some stuff.
Yeah, it did. He had a few problems, but like now,
I've heard of him,
he's
so
probably
it's
the
not as if he's...
second most renowned comic creator after Stan Lee.
I would say so.
Yeah, which he should really be first because of everything he did. But
as with everything, the true creative gets shafted.
Yeah,
And someone else cashes in.
and Stan Lee's the personality.
Well, I mean-
and he was the editor at the time, so he could put.
It's like
I
if
hear
Pat
a
Mills
lot
tried to
about
Clint
this.
Red.
I mean, like the whole principle of a character being created. If somebody writes a character, they instantly sell the rights to Marvel.
Well, this was
and
from
they
a
don't
time
have-
before.
I'm sure that's still in place, and that's why a bunch of them.
It's
moved
better
up
now.
and
If you
made,
go and watch
Spawn or
Image
whatever it was.
Comics, yeah.
If you go watch Future Shock, this covers that. The Future Shock documentary about 2000 AD.
I think we should probably do a special.
Yeah, because
episode on
that
that.
itself covers, in the microcosm of 2000 AD, but it does look overall at the wider picture of these creators. When they made it, they've forfeited all rights straight away to the company, and they were left with nothing from it. It's only more recently that they've started to get that. And I mean, the 90s was the big turnaround in that.
Yeah.
Where they'd had enough, you got a big exodus from Britain out to America.
Yeah.
Because America had already kind of clued on to the fact of, you can't do this.
Now creator-owned stuff is huge.
Yeah.
It's really not so much with DC or Marvel, although they do have their own little subsections for that, which is Vertigo and Icon.
Yeah.
They're the little self-owned books that they publish.
They're publishing arms, aren't they?
Yeah, but things like Image have always said you own your own.
But Image
your
was
shit.
founded out of that idea.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was that
I suppose
spirit.
it's the same really with films anyway. Like Universal, they're basically a catalogue company.
Yeah.
And when Kevin Smith wanted to make Mallrats 2, that's what he said. He went to Universal and went, can I have it? And they went, well, no, we're not going to release we didn't even realise we had it, but no, you can't have it, because basically they catalogued the original
That's like
concept.
when the Riddick franchise got released by the movie publisher because Vin Diesel did the cameo at the end of Fast and Furious 3, and the only reason he did it was to get the Riddick stuff to his ownership, and that's so he owned that franchise, which is why there was a third film. But Yeah, I mean, is it Universal that has all the old monster movies?
Quite a few, like the Hammer Horrors and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
that's the ones I'm
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
of. So they were trying to remake them and
I
relaunch
think it's
it.
them, yeah.
And it's quite exciting. I mean, comics had the same thing. And
there's a lot of red tape in like these industries.
I mean, it just goes they're behind the times, really. Is what it comes down to. Yeah. But shit happens.
There are companies, there are businesses, and sure that's.
But there are now dozens of independent comic companies that are flourishing,
and lots of people who just self-publish outside of
lots.
that as well. With the internet, you can.
Yeah, and you can do it for free in many cases.
Yeah,
because you've got web comics and stuff like that.
Put on Amazon or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's the industry's changing. I think the film industry has to catch up to that.
Now, I mean, there is a big indie scene now, and that's where it comes out of.
Either the film industry has to catch up to that, or Disney has to buy everything.
I mean, they're trying their damnedest, aren't they?
First
ball,
anyway.
Between Fox and Lucasfilm, ESPN, Marvel.
Yes.
Still love that episode of South Park. Like, oh, what's this spot not one you go on before? Oh! Like, Mickey comes and beats the shit out of the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah.
I wish he would. So we're on.
So up to the Vanessa kidnapping.
Yeah.
And what I liked about this was it was that kind of almost sliding doors thing of he's in the right place but just missed.
Yeah.
Took the eye off the target for 1 second and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could say it's a bit of Deus Ex Machina in there, and it was just there to move the plot forward. But hey, all movies need it somewhere.
Yeah, you're right. And it wasn't an eye rolling moment or anything like that. So.
No, it made sense in the plot, and it just gave the final fight to like a meaning.
Yeah,
it was always going to come down to it, but it wasn't just senseless violence. There was actually meaning behind it at that point as well. And he had to get pissed off somehow.
Yeah, so he goes back home. Out of his mind.
I literally my note here because I write the scenes down as we watch it. I've just got guns, all the guns.
Give me all the guns,
including the tiny little gun. It was brilliant. And
get that through your head, or get out of Fucktown.
Yeah. I just love the fact that he's there piling them all into this Hello Kitty bag.
Hello. What Weasel says to him when he's about to go off, he's like, "I'd go with you, but I don't wanna."
Yeah. That's brilliant.
It's the most honest response from any character.
Then we kind of get introduced to the final showdown location.
Well, before that, he goes back to the X-Mansion.
Well, I've got that down as happening. We get Vanessa getting tied up first.
Oh yeah, of course.
And this is where boy band.
This is where we see the helicarrier from the Avengers, grounded helicarrier. Nice nod to the wider Marvel universe outside of the Foxverse, as I'll call it at that point.
Foxverse.
Yeah, well, it was. Yeah, the
X-verse.
The X-Men films were quite self-contained at that point, and it was just nice to see a bit of crossover for once between the two. And it was in there for nerds to nerd out over. But
yeah, nice. It's more of an Easter egg than anything, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and then we get the X-Men house. The knock
unblown up.
Yeah, the knock on the door, which is brilliant. It was almost like, hello.
It's a big house.
There's only two of you.
It's like the studio couldn't afford another X-Men.
I loved here again. That's. Marvel, they had it in Civil War when they mentioned Empire Strikes Back, and Tom Holland was like, "What's that?" And they had it here again with an Alien 3 reference to a haircut, and it was just like it went.
Fuck you're old.
What was the line you said? Like
fake laugh, hiding real pain.
Yes. Yeah, so
I actually say that quite a lot.
Yeah,
when someone insults me.
And I like how it's almost like they saved money here by not having Colossus appear. They just used his voice, like he's hid behind the door.
Yeah,
that was brilliant.
Then they're all in Dorpinda's taxi.
Yeah, and you get this brilliant conversation of he's just like they're like, "What's that?" After they go over a pothole, and he's like,
"That is my romantic rival, Buntu."
And it's just like,
don't misconstrue that voice as racist.
He told me to do it, and he's like, "Yeah, you shouldn't do that. You're doing a great job."
Yeah. I'm so proud of you.
So good, well chastised.
And then drop him off, kill him, and then go win Keter back. With flowers and chocolates. Kidnapper.
So good.
This romantic advice is brought to you by Deadpool.
And just as we're about to leave the taxi, we just get X Gun Give It to You. Even though it's an old song, it's such a good song.
It's an awesome tune.
And so you get them stepping out, and what I love is straight away you just like, where's the pink bag? The taxi just drives off. And what I love is when he calls the taxi, like, where's my bag? It's so obviously next to him that he'd know where it was.
Straight away.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And they get the superhero landing next when they confront Ajax and Angel.
Yeah. And to be honest, I've got this down just as kind of the last scene of Carrier face off, and it's about 20 minutes here, and it's just one big last scene. Between this and the lab, they're the two main scenes in the whole film.
You also get to see just how powerful Negasonic Teenage Warhead is.
Yeah, and we see that she underneath her clothes, she's actually been wearing an X-Men uniform.
Yeah. One of the best quotes ever as well. I pity the dude who pressures her into prom sex.
Oh, wait for it! Superhero landing! That's really bad on your knees.
I've got some of the insults here as well.
Go on.
I'll start at the beginning of all the best insults, shall I?
Go on.
Right, so what we got here? Let's see.
I thought it was prepared.
I am prepared! £200 sack of assholes. There's one wheezing bag of dick tips. I love that. And what I've got so far as well is shit spackled muppet fart.
Oh, that's pretty good one, that.
That's a good one, yeah.
That's a good one.
But,
Wheezing bag of dick tips, so.
I like here how Colossus just walks forward. He's just like, yeah, come on, step aside, and she just kicks the shit out of him in one punch.
I mean, that's why I brought her.
And she's just texted, like, proper...
Oh, finish your tweet.
Just 2 seconds, fine, here. Oh, gotta do some work, and then just goes fucking nuclear.
All kinds of teenage girl right there.
All
like,
that angst personifies
Yeah.
into power. Oh, it's great.
She comes out of puberty and she no longer has superpowers. Because it's just fueled by being a teenager.
Yeah.
Puberty hormones and stuff.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Followed by long, solemn silences.
So what's it gonna be? Mean comments or long sullen silence?
You got me in a box.
That's so good.
Oh, and I like it as well. Fucker should have worn his brown pants.
Yeah.
What's my name? Oh, I'm gonna fucking spell it out for you.
I did like it.
And then he does.
Yeah.
I did like it how he like stands up and he's like, "I will give you a chance to put your weapons down. It might almost be loving. You may even be sensual."
Lover-like treatment.
And then he just like immediately like start shooting him. And what I quite liked here is I almost saw a similarity between in Origins as he comes out the elevator. That first like sword scene really to this felt similar. It wasn't, but it just felt similar. And it was just nice to see.
He just slaughters
everyone.
Everyone apart from Bob, he just knocks him out.
And then we see Colossus and Angel fighting as well.
Pretty fun fight.
Yeah,
I like that. It was cool.
I love how he gets on top of the carrier after spelling the name out, and he just hops onto the thing and just gets blown up there.
Yeah, that was great.
That's fantastic.
One of my favourite lines in his fight with Ajax, who Ajax has now put Vanessa in that oxygen chamber.
Yeah.
And they run out of their weapons, and he just goes, "Fine fists," and says, "Sounds like your last Saturday night." So they have a pretty good fight. I like it. Full of action. Full of comedy.
It's not a
moments as
letdown.
well. No.
I mean, sometimes you get to the final fights in these movies, and it's just like 2 seconds, it's over. And it's, oh, what was the point?
Yeah.
In this one, it actually felt like, oh, he actually means business, which was nice. I like it how you had the exposed boob joke.
Yeah.
Of Colossus being the proper gentleman of whoa.
Yeah.
You're left. Yeah.
This is why you should be an anti-hero, so you don't get taken advantage of.
And I
for
love
good
it how
nature.
she's like, oh, thanks, and just dick shots him straight away. Oh, it's brilliant.
His poor wife.
Yeah.
Oh, your poor wife.
Daddy.
And so whilst Colossus is getting the shit beaten out of him by Angel, Negasonic Teenage Warhead sort of comes to the rescue by blowing everything up.
Yeah, it's that unintended consequence, isn't it?
Yeah, and that tips over the helicarrier that they're fighting on.
By this point as well, we've had Vanessa be saved by the sword going through the pressurized vessel, which would explode.
Yeah,
right. The rush of that pressure. But like I said, down there, it's a comic book movie. You have to suspend realism somewhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the laws of physics can't be suspended sometimes, but gravity aren't a bitch. Then we get the helicarrier.
Yeah, you had a big problem with that, considering everything.
I did. It's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fucking don't get me started on Newton, fucking virgin.
Science show.
Piano. Anyway, moving on.
So we get the helicarrier toppling over, and it was quite. I was like, I've got a plan. It's not a good plan, but it's a plan.
Shoves her in the oxygen tank.
Yeah, and again, it was just a bit. It was a bit Deus Ex Machina at this point, but it was like, oh well, they got to survive somehow, and they need a plausible way.
Yeah.
It's Hollywood. You gotta give
Yeah, and after it had come down, it was just pretty.
Woo!
From right in the distance, then just gets twatted by Ajax.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
fantastic.
they have a bit of a scuffle.
Yeah.
And Ajax reveals that he can't actually cure him.
Yeah, and my favourite line here is just, you're going to tell the guy whose only reason for keeping you alive that you can't do that. Really?
Yeah.
I know, it was just fantastic.
And then you have the moment where...
And this is where you get the lecture,
of
I'd call
Colossus,
it,
yeah.
from Colossus of, it's only 4 or 5 moments that make superhero. What, do you think we wake up superhero, brush our teeth superhero? That was brilliant. And I love the fact that it did start to drag on, and then he just shoots him. He's like, you was going on too long. And we just, the hero throws up. That was fantastic.
He makes good with Vanessa.
Yeah.
Based on him, being absent for so long and the reasons why. And she tells him that he has a face she wouldn't mind sitting on.
Yeah. I love how it's like, you think, is it going to be really romantic? No, it goes right back to where it was.
Yeah. And I just like when he says, now for the moment I've all been waiting for.
I could get used to it after a lot of drinks. I could sit in that face. And then I like how he describes what the last shots of the film are going to be. He's like, and we're going to pan out to a beautiful wide angle.
It's the only thing that's going to be pulling out tonight.
Yeah. That was pretty much the end of the film at that point. And you get the little Easter egg at the end saying there's going to probably be a number 2 with
You're still
Kim.
here.
Yeah.
Go.
And overall, I'd say it's a fantastic superhero movie.
It's brilliant.
As
it's really
the
good.
first R-rated one, it did everything it needed to just right.
Yeah.
and opened the door for the rest.
There was there wasn't gore for the sake of gore like we were talking about in Dread a bit.
More for the sake of comedy than anything.
Yeah.
I sometimes wonder if we have become desensitized slightly. I know I have with things like The Walking Dead, even though there are sometimes there's things that they can do to shock me visually. But yeah, it's becoming more commonplace.
You know what? I kind of noticed it after Hostel. Because Hostel was kind of more mainstream than those gore fests were. And that kind of almost introduced a lot of people to super gore in films.
I suppose by today's standards, maybe Hostel films wouldn't be that bad. I never watched them, but I could just assume that.
I mean, no, it was
sort of
even now. If I watched it, there's one scene in particular that I would wince at every time.
Which one? Because I never plan on watching it.
There's a bit where she's had her face burnt. This woman's had her face burnt, and so her eyes all pussy, and it gets popped, and you get all the pus seeping out, and it just freaks me out every time.
Are you the type who doesn't see spots get popped as well?
No, I don't mind that. It's the fact it's the eye.
It is a slightly different thing.
You see her eye have to get pushed back in and stuff. Oh no. I mean, I'm not. Again, I can see people touch their eyes and they don't freak out.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel fucked up. Maybe I'm fucked up for watching the film. I don't know.
There are plenty of things I don't really like to see, like Joe. Fake laugh, hiding real pain.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you cock juggling thunder cunt.
so here we go.
Hashtag drive by.
You wheezing bag of tits.
So at the end of these, we always rate them out of 5. So what do you give it, Joe?
I'll give it 4.5. 4.5 because I absolutely loved it, you know. But as he said, there's quite a lot of Deus Ex Machina going on there, and things set up for the sake of progressing the plot. You know, there's no real twists or anything with it. But I enjoy it. You know, it's fun. It's fun to watch. I don't have to think too much when I'm watching it, and it makes me laugh. So
Joe?
Yeah, I was interrupted with 4. Yeah.
What was your reason? Pretty much the same.
I mean, I really enjoyed the film. You always have to keep that 1 star back for that film, that one film that you love, and you feel has got everything you want out of a movie. So,
I'd say 4.5 because kind of the same as you. There was a bit. There weren't any twists. I wasn't ever surprised by it, but it did everything it's out to do. And the only reason I wouldn't give it 5 is because not every film needs those twists and things like that. I didn't walk away from the film having my mind blown and instantly wanting to rewatch it. But
I did. I wanted to rewatch it straight away when I saw it, but I'll still only give it 4.5.
I went away from it. I was like, that was a really good comic book movie, but it wasn't one of those things that made me walk away and go. I described this recently with another film of. I didn't go to the cinema in the first week to see it, and I didn't instantly go and buy it on DVD when it came out. And there's not many films that I'd do that for. I've only done that with one film ever, and it's one of those. It's all personal preference.
Yeah.
And I like a good, just straightforward action film. It doesn't need to have lots of plot twisting because that's almost cliche these days.
Yeah.
And as an R-rated movie, it set that bar very high, and I think a lot of movies are going to come in under it, and they have in previous time.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a sign of where things go when you've got the right people on board with the right passion, the right drive.
Bravo to Mr. Ryan Reynolds as well.
Yeah.
For spearheading it and not giving up on it as well.
Yeah. I mean, it goes to show, just leaking that test footage, the fandom man drove through a film that the fans wanted, and turns out the fans loved, and it turned a hell of a profit in doing it at the same time.
And that about wraps that up, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I've been Haz from Valkyrock. Find me on Twitter at Valkyrie Rising.
Yeah, I am Jay. You can find me in a few places, mostly around the back alleys, rummaging for food. But if you don't want to find me there, then you can find me on Twitter at jhorner. You can find me on Instagram at Comics for Couples. And you can also find me on Facebook at Comics for Couples as well.
My name's Joe, and that's it.
Yeah, he actually will be in the bins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't.
You will be if I say so. Go get in them bins.
I suppose I should have said that Valkyrock is a YouTube channel as well.
Maybe, yeah.
It's not just like some precious gemstone collection that you have.
No.
Not just.
Shut up and get in the pin, Jamie. Nobody cares.
Sorry.